that we work so hard to do. But it's just a certain division that needs to be brought to everyone's attention and understanding that, no, this is something that's been going on. And it's just getting to a point where it's like, all right, now enough is enough.
Enough is enough, man. Enough is enough, man. Yeah. Yeah, enough is enough.
The larger conversation that needs to be had that is really above us, and I think that is the part that we really need to get to. So hopefully at All-Star we can have an opportunity and a conversation because at this time we something needs to change.
At All-Star they want to have an opportunity and a conversation. That's what I was alluding to in the beginning. They're gonna walk into Caitlin Clark's room.
We can sit back and we can watch what's happening to Caitlin Clark. And they know how they're treating her, why they're treating her that way.
She became a roadshow. And I don't know that, and I don't want to slight anybody in college, but I don't remember saying that in my time. And that's held true. We've wanted a player or a league that can, sort of transcend some of these spaces and have a roadshow. The NBA has had their players that people come to see, right? So when the Wolves sell tickets, there are certain games that they know people are going to come watch certain players. And Caitlin Clark and some of the other rookies give us that. Obviously, Caitlin, being the headline.
Cheryl Reeve just made a call that's about to blow the doors off an already tense WNBA All-Star locker room, and A'ja Wilson is reportedly not taking it well at all.
Look, man, the WNBA All-Star Draft just been had, man, and these are the teams, man. And for Team Spoon, we have the baby goat, the face of the league, the biggest in the league, one of the best and greatest women's basketball players to ever exist. I'm talking about good from birth, great from birth, Caitlin Clark.
Reeve is coaching one of the 2 All-Star squads in Chicago this weekend, and word is she's deciding on team captain duties right now, days before tip-off. Normally, that pick goes to the vocal leader, the multiple-time MVP, the player who's held that armband before without anyone blinking. Instead, Reeve is reportedly leaning toward handing that role to Caitlin Clark. Not because of seniority, not because of championship rings, because Clark is the one filling arenas, moving ratings, and selling out merchandise tables. And Reeve knows exactly what that means for a game built to showcase the league's 30th season.
Gang! Fever Gang! The god Caitlin Clark vaporized the Seattle Storm, dropping 45 points! A 45 and 10 double-double! Let's fucking go, Caitlin Clark! We see all the fucking haters! We see all you bitch-ass clowns switching up on the guy Caitlin Clark. We see y'all listening to the narratives, all the bullshit, all the fucking clowns all across the world. Oh, she ain't living up to the hype and dropped 45 points.
And if you're looking for a reason a coach would make a call like that, you don't have to dig very far. Clark just dropped a franchise record 45 points and 10 assists against the Seattle Storm, becoming the first player in WNBA history, not the first guard, not the first Fever player, the first player period to post a 40-point, 10-assist game. She did all of that on a restricted workload, capped under 30 minutes on the floor. That's not a hot shooting night where everything happens to fall. That's a player operating on a completely different level than everyone else on the court, teammates included. And her teammates had a great night too.
They're gonna knock on the door. Caitlin Clark's gonna open the door to her hotel room. She's gonna peek through it, and there's gonna be that, that sliding thing on the door, and all there's gonna be is like the chain, and she's gonna peek through and say, oh shit, she's gonna try to close the door, and then all the players at one time, Brittany Griner, A'ja Wilson, they're all gonna just, let me, they're gonna bum rush her, they're gonna bum rush into that room, and they're gonna tie Caitlin Clark up to a chair. They're gonna tell Caitlin Clark, you're not leaving this room until you come out and you denounce those pesky fans of yours.
But here's where things get genuinely messy. A'ja Wilson has reportedly said She needs to sit down with the players, and multiple outlets have pointed out that comment is specifically aimed at Clark after a string of altercations with referees that's had fans arguing for weeks about who actually gets the benefit of the doubt on the court. Some fans have pointed out the irony too. Wilson has had her own run-ins with officials that got largely brushed off by the media, while Clark bringing up a concern to a referee turned into a full-blown national story with think pieces attached. So there's already real tension simmering here before these two even share a bench together this weekend. And that's before you add a captaincy decision into the mix.
Look at Angel Wilson barking at the ref. Look how she talking to the refs. Y'all were cool with this. Look, so much aggression. Let me guess, y'all gonna call this passion. Because this is what y'all do. Just last night, y'all was trying to trash Caitlyn because she was upset and spoke her mind to the refs as she should have, because the ref continued to not give her calls that we can clearly see are calls. But I guess when Angel Wilson does it, it's fine. Why?
Now stack a captaincy snub on top of an already planned players meeting, and you've basically built a powder keg with a lit fuse sitting right next to it. This isn't two players on separate rosters who can keep a comfortable distance and let the tension play out from afar. Wilson and Clark are teammates for this exact All-Star game, scheduled for July 25th in Chicago as part of the league's 30th season celebration. And they're supposed to be sharing a locker room, a bench, a game plan, and now, apparently, a captain's role that isn't going the direction Wilson is used to seeing it go. That's not a small wrinkle. That's the kind of setup that makes a tense weekend into a genuinely uncomfortable one.
Minding their own business, and then they drop this crappy hit piece on Caitlyn Clark, attacking her, attacking the fans, and trying to diminish her accomplishments. That's why I'm not a big fan of Time Magazine picking A'ja Wilson for Athlete of the Year. I think this was pre-planned because they're saying a lot of crap about Caitlyn Clark, her accomplishments. To me, the articles about Caitlyn Clark has nothing to do with A'ja Wilson, and all it does is reveals A'ja Wilson's character.
This tension didn't just show up out of nowhere either. Wilson said back in December in a Time magazine interview that the hype around Clark's rise erased WNBA history for a minute, and she added flatly that she didn't like that. She was careful with her wording too, saying the hype wasn't a hit at me, and that her actual issue was with fans overlooking players who built the league long before Clark ever stepped on a WNBA court. That's a fair point to raise once. Wilson has 3 championships and 4 MVP awards, and she's earned the right to speak on the league's history. But she keeps bringing it up. Almost every single media cycle around Clark, whether it's a magazine profile, an award show, or a random press availability, Wilson ends up somewhere in that conversation.
And I've come to know Caitlyn really well. She's an incredible player and also an incredible person. And she wants to focus on being the best player she can. And she's become a bit of a political football in this country. And I think it's incredibly unfair to her. I don't think that issue is ultimately about officiating. It's sort of, it's become political ping pong with her. And she's a young woman who's trying to improve her game, right. Focus on being the best player as she can. And I don't even think it's fair to her that this has become a separate storyline.
And that contrast is exactly why Reeve's reported decision lands the way it does. Adam Silver himself called Clark a political football just last week when reporters pushed him on the ongoing noise surrounding her, including a suspension report tied to one of her recent run-ins with officials. That phrase alone tells you plenty. Silver is essentially admitting Clark has become something bigger than a basketball player at this point. A symbol different groups fight over, way beyond anything that actually happens between the lines during a game. And this isn't the first time he's stepped in either. Back when Clark took a hard, flagrant foul from Chennedy Carter in 2024, Silver publicly called it a welcome to the league moment while also making a point of saying it wasn't out of the ordinary. He's walked that line for 2 years now, trying to protect the growth Clark represents for the whole league without fanning any extra flames that didn't need fanning.
Congratulations, Captain Caitlyn. Good luck in the upcoming All-Star game. Go! Congratulations, Captain Caitlyn. Good luck in the upcoming All-Star game. Go!
Fans have already started reacting to the captain report, and the split online is about what you'd expect from a story like this. One side is pointing out that Clark is the one moving TV numbers, ticket prices, and jersey sales, so of course a coach trying to put together the best possible broadcast in Chicago leans toward her. The other side is saying Reeve just poured gasoline on a fire that Wilson was already trying to handle quietly with the team meeting before the cameras even got involved. Neither side is exactly wrong, and that's part of what makes this whole thing so hard to look away from.
The face of the league, the upcoming best player in the league, man, Caitlin Clark. Then we got Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, what the hell? 3 Indiana Fever starters. Okay. Then we got Old Miles, and then we got Natasha Howard. Then we got Paige Beckers. Then we got Big Jess. Yeah, Jess Shepard. Yeah. Then we got Gabby Williams, and we got Aja Wilson. And man, I'm not gonna lie, man, this is year 3 for us in the league, but also year 3 as an all-star, man. Too many can't say that they've been an all-star every year that they played. Too many people can't really.
Remember too, this year's rosters weren't picked the usual way at all. Legends Cynthia Cooper and Teresa Weatherspoon served as honorary general managers and drafted the teams live on ESPN, turning the whole selection process into its own broadcast event for the league's 30th season. So every single decision this weekend, captains included, is happening under way more cameras and way more scrutiny than a normal all-star game usually gets. There's no quiet way to hand Clark the captain armband over Wilson here. Everyone's going to see it happen in real time, and everyone's going to have an opinion about it within minutes.
Yeah, it's just cute. Like, I don't know if she's ever, like, maybe surprised by what she does, but, like, even that 3, I think she was, like, almost probably a little surprised that it went in. It was just one of those plays where it's like, dang, like it's one of those nights where you're really feeling it, you're really in the zone, and to finish through contact that was pretty fun. And I actually had probably the best view of it because I was kind of trailing right behind her, so it was pretty cool, and obviously got the crowd into it too.
Clark's actual teammates in Indiana have watched this entire saga play out from close range for 2 years now, and most of them have stayed pretty quiet about the outside noise, choosing instead to just keep playing alongside her and let the results speak. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 30 points of her own in that same Seattle game, and the two of them combined for 75 of Indiana's 110 total points that night, with Seattle doubling Clark for most of the game and sending extra bodies at her every single time she touched the ball. That's the kind of production that makes handing over a captain title feel less like a personal snub toward Wilson and more like simple math for a coach trying to win an exhibition game that everybody in the building is actually watching closely.
This is one of the reasons why they hate Caitlin. Watch her lock them down. Watch her lock her down. Look, come here. I almost blocked it too. She ain't want to embarrass her like that. Look. And see, you supposed to rebound it and pass the ball. Come here. Here's another reason. You hear that? You hear the whole arena. That's another reason why they hate.
This also isn't the first time Wilson has been openly candid about how she feels playing anywhere near Clark's spotlight. Back in 2024, she admitted she dreaded playing in front of Indiana Fever crowds, specifically because of how loud and overwhelming the attention around Clark had gotten by that point. So when you connect that older comment to this week's captain report and the reported team meeting request, it starts to look less like a one-off frustrated reaction and more like a pattern that's been quietly building for 2 straight years, resurfacing every single time Clark hits another milestone that grabs headlines. Here's the thing, though, and it's worth saying plainly. Reeve isn't reportedly picking Clark to be petty toward Wilson or to send some kind of message about who the league's real star is. She's picking the player who brings the cameras, the ratings, and the ticket sales. Because that is genuinely the entire job of an all-star game exhibition, put on the best possible show for a league celebrating 30 years of existence. Wilson has 3 championships and 4 MVPs sitting on her URSM, and nobody serious is questioning that URSM or trying to diminish it. But URSMs, no matter how decorated, don't sell out arenas the way Clark's box scores have been doing all season long. And coaches building an exhibition weekend around viewership numbers understand that math better than anyone.
So I'm glad that Chelsea had an opportunity to speak up and had an opportunity to show that what we've been going through and we're going to continue to go through until we have that conversation.
Yeah, what you go through is nothing special. What you go through is nothing special, nothing unique, nothing that needs to be addressed, nothing that a conversation needs to be had about. It's just a bunch of WNBA players crying because a bunch of people that they don't know are saying mean things and leaving nasty messages in their DMs that they have the right to ignore in the first place.
Let's just say out loud what a lot of people are already saying quietly. Some of these veteran players are frustrated, and that frustration keeps getting repackaged as concern about history, concern about fairness, concern about how attention gets distributed across a league that took decades to build. But strip away all the careful language, and what's actually left is a group of accomplished, decorated players who aren't used to sharing the spotlight this dramatically, and now they have to, whether they're comfortable with the terms or not. Clark didn't take anything away from anyone by scoring 45 points against Seattle. She didn't take anything away from anyone by handing out 10 assists in under 30 minutes of floor time. She simply played basketball at an extremely high level, and the numbers did what numbers naturally do when a player performs that well on a given night.
Noise that I don't really listen to, honestly, because I'm in season. I have other things that we need to worry about than what other people have to say. I have a scout, I have 11 other minds on my team and in my locker room that we got to make sure that we're on the same mindset. So I really can't give you the best answer on that because I really don't pay any attention to it. My goal is just to go out there and be the best that I can be for my teammates, both on and off the court, and we're going to go out there and be us.
Wilson has said publicly, more than once, that she plans to keep doing her own thing regardless of what happens with Clark's fan base or the attention constantly swirling around her. That's a completely reasonable stance on its own, and nobody should expect Wilson to stop being one of the best players in the league just because someone else is getting more headlines. But if that sentiment is genuinely true, the constant returning to this exact topic in interview after interview, year after year, starts to undercut the message a little. If a player is truly unbothered by something, she usually doesn't need to explain herself 3, 4, 5 separate times across 18 months about exactly why she isn't bothered by it. At some point, the sheer volume of the explanation starts telling its own story, whether that's the intention or not. And here's the part about basketball specifically that makes this whole captaincy drama feel almost avoidable. It's a sport that settles nearly every argument on the court, every single night, in ways press conferences, team meetings, and magazine interviews simply can't touch. Clark isn't clapping back at anyone publicly. She isn't posting subtle jabs after games. She's averaging historic numbers night after night and letting the box score handle whatever talking actually needs doing. That approach, quietly outproducing the surrounding noise instead of engaging with it head-on, tends to age a lot better than the alternative over time, and Reeve's reported captain decision is really just the league office and the coaching staff acknowledging that same reality out loud.
I hope she and everybody else in the WNBA write Caitlin Clark a check with interest. I really, really hope they do, because y'all can all thank Caitlin Clark for the ability to be able to start actually making upwards of millions of dollars by putting a ball through a net. When the WNBA is one of the only businesses in sports history where you have lost money every single year, and then y'all players came together and demanded you make more money. It is a historic day for the WNBA because y'all can lose money, y'all can be put in the red, y'all can have an actual other sports team in the NBA subsidize you for your literal entire existence, and then y'all turn around as players and say, pay us what you owe us. Y'all need to thank Caitlin Clark. Y'all need to put that chick on retainer and run her check.
So now we get to this weekend. Chicago, the league's 30th season celebration. Wilson and Clark on the same roster, wearing the same jersey, for a game that's supposed to showcase everything good about where the WNBA has come from over 3 decades. Not extend a captaincy dispute and a media saga that's been quietly simmering since 2024. There's already chatter floating around that Wilson wants a word with Clark the moment she sees her at All-Star Weekend. Whether that ends up being an actual private conversation between the two of them behind closed doors, or just more comments dropped courtside to reporters standing nearby with cameras rolling. Either way, sharing a roster and now a captain decision for an entire weekend makes it basically impossible to avoid the topic entirely, even if both players genuinely wanted to. But here's a prediction that honestly doesn't take much guessing at this point, given everything Clark has done all season.
And they know how they're treating her, why they're treating her that way. But, that's not supposed to be said out loud, and if you do say it, you're a racist. This league wanted to grow, but again, you get millions of people checking something out. Yeah, you're going to have some outliers that are assholes. That's a thing. It is.
Whatever ends up getting said in Chicago, whether it happens on camera or completely off it in some hallway nobody catches on video, Clark is going to keep doing exactly what she's already been doing all season long. She's going to keep scoring in bunches against defenses, throwing everything they have at her. She's going to keep setting up her teammates for easy looks night after night. And she's going to keep breaking records that nobody else in this league's nearly 30-year history has ever come close to touching. The 45-point 10-assist night against Seattle wasn't some random one-off explosion that happened to line up perfectly. It was a preview of what the rest of this season very likely looks like from here on out. If Wilson genuinely wants the captaincy debate settled in her favor and wants the story to shift back toward the game itself rather than who's getting picked to lead which team, the fastest and most effective path there isn't a sit-down with reporters watching from courtside or another magazine interview about attention and fairness. It's outplaying the numbers Clark has been putting up all season, the exact same way every real argument in basketball eventually gets settled on the court in front of everyone, with nothing left to talk about afterward except what actually happened in the box score.